Go ahead and tell them. Say anything you want.
Hi. Hi.
Say, have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.
All right, go in, stinkers. Those were my 3 daughters. They wanted to be part of the video today. So this is gonna be me telling our story and basically how it all went down. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about my family and I. I met Sarah in high school. I can truly say it was love at first sight. And we dated for a couple years. Well, actually, we were best friends, and then we dated, and then we got married. And then a few months later, she got pregnant with twins, and let me tell you, that was insane. I'm talking. I had never changed a diaper. I had 0 experience with kids, so I was nervous alone with the fact that we were having one. And then to find out it was twins, crazy. So that's the beginning of our crazy life. And then 2 years later, we had Maddie, and then just recently, we started fostering a little baby boy named Jackson, and that was a little over, less than 3 years ago, and he's actually about to turn 3 here in a few days, and we got to adopt him May of last year, and it was one of the best moments of our lives. So I finally got my son, and we're all super happy. Well, fast forward all the way up until August. I found out I made chief, and then I got transferred out to the USS Essex, which was on deployment. And I went on deployment, which was awesome. I went through the season. It was amazing. It was my first time as an LCPO. It was such a great feeling. I was having the time of my life. It was one of the best years I've ever had. And then I got back in December, a little before Christmas, and it was great. And I found out that Sarah wasn't feeling good. So we tried to tough it out for a couple days, and then finally we were like, it's time to go to the ER and see what's going on. Her stomach was swollen, and she wasn't feeling good at all. She couldn't eat, and it was just bad. So we went to the ER, and they did an ultrasound, and then about 10 minutes later, a bunch of doctors came in all at once, and they pulled up a bunch of seats, and they sat us down, and that's when I just had a feeling it wasn't good. And they didn't tell us that it was cancer then. They said, you have a large mass, the size of a grapefruit, on your ovary, and another small mass. And we were like, no way, this is insane. Well, we sat there and we talked, and Sarah and I definitely, we basically prayed about it. We were like, this can't be happening. What are we going to do if it is cancer? And so they sent us home that day and said we need to schedule a follow-up because she's going to need surgery. Well, they called us that night saying we need to come in the very next morning, first thing, and see the oncologist. Well, we went in there, and that's when he told us it was cancer. He thought it was ovarian cancer because appendix cancer is super rare. 1 in a million people get it. And that we need to schedule surgery ASAP. So this is 2 days before Christmas. And we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Should we wait till after Christmas? Should we just do it now? And we decided to just do it and get it over with. So that night, we came home, and let me tell you, it was rough. We got the girls to bed. We kind of told them what was going on, and then we went to our bed and we snuggled, and we cried together, we laughed together, we reminisced, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do to get through this. And we called our family. I tell you, it was rough, and especially from people like us that are naturally really positive and are always looking at the better things in life. We just couldn't figure out how to react. Like it threw us off. And but again, we prayed about it, and there we were the next morning. First thing, she's getting ready to be wheeled back to have her surgery, and I'm there and I'm by myself. All our family are in Illinois. I'm stationed out in California. And I'm telling you, that was the scariest moment in my entire life, is when they wheeled her off for that surgery. I didn't know what to expect. And you're talking, we are two very healthy people. I've never had an IV. She's never had surgery except for the C-sections for our kids. So this was huge. And luckily, I have such good support out here. You know, my chief brother and sisters, all the sailors, are amazing neighbors and friends. We are so blessed to have you guys. But anyways, they took her back to surgery, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and you know, it's been 2 hours, no update. I'm starting to lose my mind, and I'm having all my friends, they're calling and they're checking up on me, and again, this is a story from my eyes. Sarah's is pretty much the same, just a lot more nausea and throwing up. And finally, my friend OJ, he showed up and he sat with me for a couple hours, and he took my mind off everything. We talked about work and sailors and what we need to do to our shop to help people out and things, and got time moving along. Well, finally the surgeon came out, and he was a captain in the Navy. He's very experienced, and he pulled me out in the hallway, and he told me that that the surgery, it went well, but it's not what we thought. They cut her open, and they realized that it's actually appendix cancer, in which I was very confused. I'd never heard of appendix cancer. I thought she had 2 types of cancer at once. Like, cancer was just not part of my vocabulary until now. So he tells me it's appendix cancer, and I asked, well, what's that mean? And he said there were a ton of they call them microtumors, and the cancer had spread all the way in the inside of her stomach, so there's no way for him to get it all out. So he removed the big tumors, her appendix, and I did a full hysterectomy, and drained all the fluid, which she had over 10 gallons of, she had over 2 gallons of fluid in her stomach alone. And I know this is a nasty word, but it was actually mucus. And I was just super confused. I didn't know what to do. Really, all he could tell me is we got a long road ahead of us, but we need to stay optimistic and trust that everything's gonna be okay. And I took his words and ran with them. So she's out of the emergency room, or out of the operation now, and I finally got to go out and see her, and she looked as beautiful as ever. I was really happy she was alive, and that's all that counts. And she was really tired, but she made it through, and I tell you, that was a great feeling. And so we stayed in the hospital, and again, now it's Christmas Eve, and I'm figuring out what I'm gonna do with the girls and Santa Claus and everything. And really, so basically what happened is I stayed with her the night, then the next day was Christmas Eve, and I stayed with her halfway throughout the day, and then I had to come home to wrap gifts and do everything to get ready for Christmas with the kiddos, because we can't ignore that either. And that was a very hard decision for me. I really felt like I was choosing between my wife and my kids, and that was the hard part about not really having family out here. But I have the closest thing to it, and that's my shipmates and are really good friends out here, and they came through like no other. They were watching our kids. Lindsay set up a meal train, just all kinds of things I never would have thought was possible. Well, Christmas comes along, and I hung out with the girls that morning. They opened gifts, and I, of course, recorded it for Sarah. And then I went back to the hospital, and away the kids went back over to Lindsay and Whitney's house to play with all their new toys and have fun. And life moved on. And so I get there, and I find out that Sarah may be able to come home. And I'm thinking, no way, this is a miracle. She had just had surgery. They told us that she's probably going to be in the hospital for at least 10 days. And luckily for us, she's so young and she's so feisty. she gets through all this stuff like it's nothing. So she's feeling good. She's determined to walk. She's doing everything. So they let us out that night on Christmas, and it was the best gift anybody could ever ask for. And bear with me, it's a pretty long story. So we come home, and she's home. It's great. And the problem was, she still wasn't feeling well. She still had the cancer in her, and she just wasn't. She was having a really hard time eating still, and just living life, and she struggled with it for a good 3 or 4 weeks, and it was just one day where she kept getting sick, and she's very stubborn. And finally I was like, we have to go to the ER. And that was probably the best choice, one of the best choices we had ever made. We went in, and they said, all right, you need to stay here, and it's going to be a pretty long visit. So I rushed home, got a bag, arranged a babysitter for our 4 kids, which happened to be Lindsay and Whitney again. And away I went to the hospital, where that's where she initially started chemo. They started on a bunch of different types of medicine to help with everything. And that's when Sarah told me she wanted to shave her head. We knew that she was going to lose her hair, and she wanted to donate it before she started chemo, because once you start chemo, you cannot donate your hair, and she had beautiful long red hair. So she asked me, of course, to shave it, which that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. First of all, I've never given a haircut, and it was on my wife. And again, I know this is kind of a negative story, but just bear with me, because how we react to everything is what I'm trying to put out to everyone with this Facebook page. It's staying positive, and it's trying to find the better in every situation that gets you through everything. So we cut her hair, she starts chemo, they work out her medicine, they get her feeling really good. And we were there for about 11 days, and by the time we came home, I could barely tell she had cancer. If we wouldn't have cut her hair, and you couldn't tell. Like, she was walking around, she was really weak, but it was a blessing. And I think that had a lot to do with us staying as positive as we possibly can, and her being as tough as she can. I don't know how she does it. She's seriously amazing. It's nuts. Well, this was all the way back in February. Remember, today's April 20th. She's now done 5 rounds of chemo. She has her 6th one this Friday. And the chemo, let me tell you, it doesn't really, with her, it just makes her super tired for a few days with a little bit of nausea. So she's extremely lucky. She goes in every other Friday, and we're there for 5 hours, and then she'll leave with a pump, and she'll have chemo pumped into her body for the entire weekend, and then we go back in on that Sunday, and get it removed. And this is every other Friday. So technology has come a long way. She still tries her best to go outside and sit with her friends, and just live life. And it's crazy thinking back to everything we've gone through, and all the situations. And cancer is super unpredictable, but I constantly think back to what her primary doctor said at UCSD. He said, happy people live longer. And if this isn't proof, I don't know what is. The cancer spread. We found that out during that 11-day stay. The cancer did spread. It's on her spleen. It's in her bones. She's got a little bit in her skull, on her spine, and just spread throughout her bones. And they told us that she will never be cancer-free. There's no way of getting rid of cancer that's already made it to the bones. And that hit us hard. And let me tell you, we cried and we prayed, and it took us to a dark spot there for a couple hours. And we were back there in our room, and we were just talking, what are we going to do? And that's when we decided together we just got to live life. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's next. You know, people have asked, you know, do you know when, how long they're giving her? A doctor will never ever tell us how long someone's going to live. I can tell you right now. Only one person does that, and that's God. And any of us can die at any moment. So I don't know. I could die tomorrow. I could get hit by a car. So we really try not to think about things like that. What we do try to do is live our lives to the fullest and pray that we have a blessed life. We're actually really lucky. We really are. Sarah's amazing. Our lives are amazing. Is it what I thought it was going to be like? No. But honestly, it's even better. We're closer than we've ever been, seriously. And if it wasn't for our friends and family and just our faith in God and being positive, where would we be? And I don't even know what to say. You know, it's hard not to get emotional talking about it, but I just want to say thanks to everyone. And this is just our story.
How about this garden?
And there'll be more videos, and there's more to it. But every day we wake up and say, what are we going to do to make this day better? And it's your attitude that's going to affect how your day is going to be. It's nothing else. There's a million bad things that happen, and there's a million good things that happen. So it's up to you to decide if it's going to be good or bad. Thanks for liking this Facebook page. I'm a firm believer that positivity spreads just as fast as negativity. And I'm serious. I'm telling you, if you just watch our journey and see some of the things we've been through and the way that we try to react, I just hope it helps you guys. And just remember, life's short, so go live your life and to the fullest and have a great time. Love your spouse, love your kids, and just have fun. All right, thanks.